am Shauna Reed.
Hi, I'm Leva Bates.
And I like horror and wrestling.
Hey, what? I like horror and wrestling too.
Oh my gosh. You know where I go to listen to all my horror and wrestling needs?
Where?
WrestleHorror Podcast. You should try it out sometime. Check it out.
Check them out.
Thanks, viewers and listeners. Meet Hook Jim here, the WrestleHorror Podcast. Here we are in January 2022. Couldn't do this without my partner, Donnie Hoover. Donnie, what's going on?
Oh man, you know how it is. Just busy as all get out, trying to get ready for March.
And joining us tonight, one half of the three-time FGW Tag Team Champions, Stevil from Roach. Stevil, how's it going, my man?
Oh, it's going, you know. Just got those belts for the third time this past week, so you know, we're doing pretty good. We're all happy at Mount Doom.
Yeah, well, you guys took down the crown for the third time to get those belts. It's got to feel great.
Oh yeah, the crown. They're hella competitors. I'll tell you that much. And they've been a real thorn in our side ever since they decided to show up at FGW. But all that aside, yeah, we did manage to get the W over them this past week, and we're feeling pretty good about it.
Would you say they're one of your tougher opponents you faced, or is there a top five at least?
Definitely top five material there. They're those boys, yeah. Really tough customers, that one.
You know, I gotta say, you and your brother Ryan Wild, you're a solid tag team. You know what you want. You had to give it to them. I mean, granted, the crown are tough opponents. I don't digress or say anything bad against them, but on this particular occasion, you were the better team.
Yeah, I take nothing away from those fellas. Ever since they've come in, they've run roughshod over the entire locker room, and we get the occasional team that comes in there, and they're newer guys. That's the only thing they have against them is they're newer, and they think they can get over on the established guys like me and Ryan. Been doing this 15 years, and been champions all over Southwest Ohio and Michigan, and you know, it's just we the experience factor, and yeah, I take nothing away from the guys except for they're experienced.
Let me ask you this, Steve. The Roach Army. How did the Roach Army get started?
The whole Roach, the inception of Roach, if you will recall back in the early 2000s with the whole real life superhero movement. I mean, we had our own little superheroes in Cincinnati with the shadow hair and whatnot. Me and our manager at the time are actually registered supervillains. There's documentation. Well, my old character, should I say, are registered supervillains, and there's documentation online. You can look it all up. You know, it's right there. But and we were a member of a subsect called Roach, and we took the idea and the concept and parlayed it into the wrestling end of it, and we formed our own branch, as it were, the entertainment end of it, and created what we have going on now. We've been there have been several wrestling members at one point in time. I think we were up to 8 guys at one time. I'd have different little subsects at different shows we would go to. There'd be 2 or 3 of us at one show and 2 or 3 of us at another show, and it just that's how it worked.
Does Roach stand for anything?
It's a floating acronym. Currently, I don't think we've changed it recently, but it used to hop around a lot. Um, I think currently we are going with the Ruthless Organization against Champions and Heroes, which, we might need to change things around a little bit because me and Ryan have kind of found ourselves pigeonholed into that champion/hero category. So yeah, it might need some retooling.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So let's go back to the beginning. What prompted you to get into pro wrestling?
Oh, well, as with many of the people from my generation of wrestling, it all started back throwing each other around in the yard and whatnot. Me and Ryan have been lifetime fans of wrestling. Got involved with a bunch of guys who tossing people around in the yard and whatnot. And the guys that we got involved with though was more character driven, less I'm going to drop you on your head off a garage kind of situation. So we got a lot of character work in, and then we would go through these people. We met a lot of people out of state who were willing to help train. So we would go for a weekend. We'd go to Georgia for one weekend. We'd go to North and South Carolina for another weekend, and we would actually train. It was almost like personal fantasy camps with federations down south, and that was really good for us. We learned a little bit before we even started technically training, and then we had a show pop up. We'd always go see HWA when they would come through, and they'd come through in Middletown and Hamilton, and we were friends with the ring announcer, so we got to see the ins and outs of the real end of it for a while. And then XVW popped up in Middletown at the Sorg, and I went and I saw the first show, and I introduced myself to the promoter, Double P, Tom McLean, and I asked him, what it would take to get in, and he had me show up, and I brought Ryan with me, and that's where we got in, and been cracking heads ever since, pretty much.
So who was your initial trainer once you got into the business?
Oh, well, there are a lot of people who want to say that they trained you. Okay. When all they did is they got you in the ring and beat the hell out of you.
Right.
At least, see if you would come back. And
that doesn't count as training.
Yeah, I'm aware. So a lot of it was on the job.
Right.
The guys who were in charge of the training, and I mean they did teach us a little bit, but I mean the bulk of the knowledge came later. John Miller, these are old. What was the company that they were? Anyways, they came up. They worked for the promotion that Hero actually ended up coming up through. So they were there when Hero was training and all this stuff. OCW, a bunch of old OCW guys. You have Dan Mayhem Adams, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago. John Miller, John's little brother Aaron. He helped train us a lot, but a lot of it was getting in there and just going. When I first got started, I was in between jobs, and the theater was open all day, so I was there like 6 days a week, 5-6 hours a day, just grinding for a long time before I had my first match. And then once that started going, it was just from there.
So it was a lot of OJT, on the job training, right?
Oh yeah.
That's normally about 80% of wrestling training, actually. That's the best place to learn is on the job.
Yeah, I thought I knew a lot, and then I ran into cats like Maniac Mark Mustang and everything, and he actually showed me the way the world was actually supposed to work.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got in with Cody, and Cody smartened me up a lot. And yeah, I mean, 15 years, and I'm still training, really, still learning, every day.
you've got to keep training in this business. I mean, it never stops because you can always learn something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Maniac Mark, RIP, former
Yep.
tag team partner of mine.
Yeah.
Mark was good people.
Yeah, he
Don
was.
used to be Shank Dorsey.
Back in the day.
I've heard stories. I've heard stories. Mark was really like my wrestling father for a long time.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Great.
Yep, he was my big brother. I loved him.
Yep.
So have you and Ryan just kind of worked hand in hand this whole time? I mean, have you guys gone your separate ways at certain
Oh,
points?
for the longest time, he wanted nothing to do with me. I'm like, hey, we're brothers. Let's tag. Hey, we're brothers. Shut up, Steve. Go away. He wanted to do his own thing. I wanted to, we've the first 4 or 5 years that we were in the business, we were tag team guys. We just weren't a tag team. He had a few partners that shall remain nameless because it's not important to the story. I've had a few partners. When Dre Jacobs was coming up, me and him were partnered for a good long time, and then he moved to Michigan, and that was finally Ryan was done with his partner at the time and transitioning, and Dre had decided to pack up and move home. And then right around that time is when we finally decided, hey, we can do this ourselves and not have to depend on anybody else. And that's when we started.
So whose idea was it to get the Roach belt made?
That's me. We were supposed to get 2 of them made, and we just haven't, gotten around to the second one yet. I was actually, it was actually supposed to be 3 belts total. That one was going to be like the quote unquote heavyweight, and I designed that one, and I actually designed a couple for tag belts. And then we're like, ew, that's not necessary. Let's just do tags, and we'll get a cistern made to the Precious, as he calls it. But we just haven't got around to it.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was invest in yourself, kind of deal.
Sure.
We don't need your belt if we got our own.
Well, I
It
won't.
works for Mark Caval.
It does work for Mark Caval, and it works for WrestleHorror because we've got our own belt.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Well, anytime one of you is ready to defend.
I don't know. I'm afraid to get in the ring with you. It might hurt.
There's a consensus on that one. We've got a reputation that we used to deserve, but we've calmed down a lot. But then whenever we do that and we pump the brakes and we ease off, we got promoters who are like, that's not why I'm booking you. I want you to go out there. I don't want you to kill people, because that's bad for business. I don't want you to kill people. Maybe make them wish they were dead, but we don't want you to kill them. I mean, that's a direct quote from one of our bookers. That's shoot.
Well, I don't want to get in a ring with you and try to defend the WrestleHorror belt and make me wish I was dead. It's like,
Yeah.
I'll just hand it to you. Here you go.
All right. Brian can keep carrying the Precious, and I'll wear that one proudly.
Donnie, any questions for Steve?
Yeah, going back to Mark and stories he told you in the training, how helpful was that to you? I mean, and did you just sit there and soak it all in? Because I know he had lots of knowledge to give, and he enjoyed teaching people.
Oh, tons of knowledge, and yeah, the whole teaching thing. By the time I got to know Mark, he wasn't in ring shape, and so he wanted to keep training people. So I became his surrogate. So he'd sit ringside and tell me what to do, to tell them what to do. So I got a lot of his personal training, helping to train other people.
Right. He was showing you how to train people, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, I was his bump. I was his bumper in the ring. So
cool.
And we sit in BS after shows, show would be over at 10. We'd be in the parking lot at 2. It's like, we got to drive home at some point.
Right.
But
Yeah, I remember after our shows when he'd come up to Columbus and work with us, he'd have my wife drive him down on Main Street and try to find hookers. So,
that
yeah.
sounds about right.
Oh yeah, yeah. My wife used to crack up. He's like, I need a driver," and she's like, "Again?" It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, he was fun.
Craziness.
I had a set of gear that he had. I swore he said he gave it to me. Right. He had loaned it to me.
Yeah.
It was a set of K&H, had all the tags. It's a pair of long tights and a butcher that he says, and I mean, I have no reason to distrust it, but he says was made for Bundy at one point in time, and he just never picked it up. So Mark ended up with it.
Yeah, that's
And,
possible. K&H had a lot of those on their tables.
Yeah, so he's like, "Here, brother. Yeah, I obviously can't wear it anymore. It looks good on you. You do what you're gonna do." And it comes down to I'd left my bag at our building in Franklin one day, and I come in and it's been rummaged through, and I'm like, "Mark, oh my God, somebody got in my bag and took out my K&H." He's like, "No, I did. Sold it." Like, son of a bitch. Well, I guess it was on loan then.
Right.
So yeah, it's like, what am I supposed to wear? So yeah, fortunately I didn't live too far away and I could go get the other stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Steve, what was your inspiration behind your current gimmick as far as the mask and the face paint?
Oh, the whole face paint thing it's come full circle. It's fun. It's pretty funny. Um, I was doing a character at the time. I was Steve Anderson, and one of those bitter guys. Hey, you got guys coming in. You're paying guys to come in and take our spots. Hey, we're doing this. I'm busting my ass, and I'm getting bumped off cards for attraction matches and all this stuff. And that came to a head. We we started doing purge shows because that was a popular thing, and the main event of that show was set up to be Eric Fallen versus Chance Prophet in a casket match. And so you got Prophet, prolific painter, Fallen. He does the gimmick out too, and so I painted myself up, ran out there like an idiot, and proceeded to get my ass tossed by both of them. That was the beginning of me painting. It's like, hey, you can do it, I can do it. And then I cut this big promo about how you're not not a wrestler, you're a clown, sideshow, attraction, all this stuff. Paint doesn't make a wrestler. And then here for the past 9 years I've been doing it. But and then it's funny because, like I said, it comes full circle. How I was tagged with Dre for a long time, and then he would come back and do shows in town, and we'd partner up or buddy up or whatever, and then we had a match, and then had a nice tag match. He cut me off, beat me up, and sent me packing. It's like, you're not a wrestler, you're a gimmick, blah 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 blah. And then the next week I see him in Michigan painting his face. So, and then he's been doing it ever since too. So it's cyclical, The paint, I was wanting to try something different. I'd been Steve Anderson for so long, and trying to fit myself into a hole that didn't really work for me. I mean, if you see me without the shit, Anderson, yeah, that fits. It was given to me. It's like, hey, you look like Ole Anderson. It's like, oh, okay, could I be Arn, please? But
Seen you without the shit.
huh?
I've seen you without the shit.
Yeah, I look like an Anderson, especially when I have the mustache and the hair.
Right?
I don't do the hair that much, and the mustache is very, very infrequent. For that reason, it's no. But so I started going down a darker path, leaning into this whole supervillain thing, and transitioning from Queen City Killers with Ryan into Roach with Ryan. and paint, and then it's like, this paint takes too long. I'd be there an hour before the show putting my face on for a 5-minute spot. It's like, it doesn't sit with me. And then we managed to get in with Will Rockwell before he hit it off and was doing WrestleMania gear and all this shit. I started getting masks made with him, and like the mask that Ryan currently wears is a Will Rockwell mask. But and I've got this guy right here, which started life as a Will Rockwell mask. It's been overhauled quite a bit since then, but it's leather under there, I promise.
Okay.
But we started doing that. We started doing that, and that got too cumbersome for me at times, and I'm like, I need to go a different route, and looked up this guy, Bill Sicardi up in Dayton, and he used to like freelance work and sell stuff at Fullway and all this stuff, and he was doing the masks for Mojo, and that's how I came across him. And he made this for me, and it's a lot easier to take 5 minutes and put a layer of paint and not have to sit there and detail everything. And then that's how I'm on this face right now. Always looking to evolve and get further, but this is where I am at the moment.
That kind of ties into the WrestleHorror theory about evolving characters, just like that's what you do with haunted houses and stuff.
Yeah, and definitely looking at because I've made busts and stuff. I've never made a mask, but I can sculpt a little bit. So I'm thinking about getting into that end of it myself and saving a lot of money.
There you go.
I love the guys that I work with. I've never had a problem with any of them. It's just, it's a lot cheaper to do it yourself if you can't do it yourself.
Before we shift into the horror aspect of the show, I gotta say I love Little Stevil.
Kid's more over than I am.
I know he is. I mean, everybody cheers when he comes out, and he's just like your mini me. It's amazing.
Yeah, I created it as a ringer for the Halloween contest, and then it took on a life of its own. It's like, the kid can't lose. He's got my boots. He's got my face. Legit. One of my masks and a pair of boots that I didn't wear anymore, and I made everything else for him on the fly. And then he goes out there and steals my thunder every time he goes out there.
And it's great, man. I really, it's nice to see you working with your boy on that. It's just really, really cool.
Yeah. He's like I said, the crowd loves him more than they love me, and I think the locker room likes him a little better too.
Yeah. So what's the story behind that? Does he come out the ring with you, or?
Every once in a while, he's apparently attached himself to my copy of the Necronomicon right there. So I can summon him, if I want to. Yeah, we've done some interesting things. He's not a permanent fixture, as it were. It's just whenever it suits the needs of the big Stevil, the little Stevil shall appear.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So let's shift this over into the horror aspect of everything, Stevil.
All right.
The first question I have for you is favorite horror movie.
Now, are we limiting genre, or could it be any kind of horror?
Any kind.
Because any kind. All right. Well, I have my I've got the Necronomicon back here, but I've got my whole Evil Dead shrine right here on the wall, so I'd have to probably go with that.
Oh, if you have a shrine, then I would understand that. Ash and the Evil Dead, all that good stuff. Yeah.
There you go. Nice.
I have a book in my library signed by Bruce Campbell.
Nice.
Hail to the chin.
Yeah, he would definitely be one that I'd want to meet.
He's definitely a character.
Nate, Evil Nate actually has a funny story about that. He was at one of the horror conventions recently down in Kentucky, and Nate took his Excalibur there because they had the Leatherface from Part 3, I believe it was.
R.A. Mihailoff. Yep.
Yeah, and he was there doing photo ops with the saw and everything, and Dahlia was sitting at the table for back in the back, for everybody to eat and everything, back in food services, craft service, and she was sitting there and she's just looking down, and the door opens, and in comes these very, very posh looking shoes, and she just scans up, and it's like, this is a damn nice suit. Who is this? And she keeps looking up, and then she gets to the chin, and he's like, yeah, it is. And he just walks by. Just
Nice.
gives her the old, you know it, and walked off.
The old wink in the gun.
Yep.
That was Scarefest. I was supposed to go, but I couldn't make it, and I was bummed out about it. But
Yeah.
that's cool. I mean, that's really neat. And Evil Nate's got his great gimmick with the Leatherface type thing, and I love watching him perform too, especially it's the mask. I mean, aside from the chainsaw, but so Evil Dead. You're a big Evil Dead fan. What's your favorite out of the 3 initial movies?
Oh, well, they all hold a special place because, and I didn't watch them in any particular order because I couldn't get a hold of the stuff when I was younger or whatnot. So I actually hadn't seen the original until I'd already seen. I think the first time I ever saw Army of Darkness was like USA or something.
Okay.
And I saw that, and then I went back and I found Evil Dead 2, and then looking at look at the video store, looking at Evil Dead 2 and Evil Dead, I'm like, isn't this the same damn movie? Initially, it's like yes and no. But Army of Darkness is my favorite because it's got the most character to it. It's the most Bruce Campbell-y of the movies.
Very much so.
And unfortunately, I have to get a new copy of mine because I have the director's bootleg edition, whatever, and I don't care for the original ending.
Okay.
When he wakes up in the post-apocalyptic future,
right?
What they ended up the ending that they ended up doing with Ash versus Evil Dead, Ash versus Evil Dead. But and there's also one line that's cut out of the movie that makes the movie for me, and it's when Ash is staring down the doppelganger after he comes off the body. It's like, good Ash, yes, good Ash, goody little tissue, and he pulls out the shotgun and blows his head off. Good, bad, I'm the guy with the gun. Mm-hmm. And they cut that line out, and they replace it with, I'm not that good. It's like, it just falls flat. It's like there's no character to that line at all. Mm-hmm. I'm not that good. Good, bad, I'm the guy with the gun. No, that is snark incarnate right there, and that's what I love. It's like if I had a personal writer for my life, it would be one-liners like that all day.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you like the remake?
Oh, I love it. I just recently showed it to my son because he's getting into everything that I'm into. So, it's me and my son living here, and we have little stations of fandoms. Right now, I've got this is my catch-all right here behind me, and I've got my Evil Dead wall, then I've got my Ghostbusters wall, and then I've got my Resident Evil wall on one side, and then he's got his own little Predator and Alien Space, and it's yeah.
Nice.
My house, it looks like a couple teenagers live here, but whatever.
Now, let me ask you this. Are you aware that there was a Broadway musical called The Evil Dead?
Found it on YouTube and watched it a couple weeks ago with him.
Okay.
He's like, what the hell is this? And I'm like, it is glorious.
I have the soundtrack for that.
Yeah. It's interesting the way, because it is Evil Dead 1 and Evil Dead 2 at the same time.
Right.
So they have to compress and juxtapose a lot of different things.
Right.
I miss Henrietta. What can I say? She is nowhere to be found because it's yeah. But it's interesting. Yeah, the musical. I'd like to see it live. I'd like to sit in the front row and see it live. It's like going to go see Gallagher. You don't sit in the back for that. Now you want to sit up front, get smattered with the watermelon. So
Yeah, I remember a few years back that they had it here in Columbus, and me and a buddy of mine were talking about going, and I think he ended up going, and I wasn't able to. But yeah, he said it was a mess. He said there blood
Yeah.
flying everywhere.
Yeah, it's definitely a Guar concert for sure.
Right.
I do have a DVD copy of it as well.
Yeah. I was surprised as hell when I found it on YouTube. It's like, yeah, oh, okay, we can do this. In its entirety. It's like,
Yeah. It's amazing. I mean, what they've done with it, but Evil Dead, that's up in my upper echelon of horror movies myself.
yeah.
Not top, but it's up there, and I appreciate the fact that that's one of your favorites. And you mentioned Resident Evil too. Big zombie fan?
Oh yeah. I've been I got introduced to RE back after 2 came out. I didn't even know anything about it. My brother, we lived in an apartment building, and he was going across the hall and hanging out with his friends across the hall. And he's like, "This game, oh my God, you got to look at this." And I ended up going to the video store down the street and getting it. And he was of the age where he was extremely impressionable. And he's like, I could not, I had to have lights on when I'm playing the game because he could not handle it. And then, so I played 2 before everything else. But I've been hooked ever since. Even the, I've seen all the Jovovich movies. My son forced me to do that. I stopped paying attention at the 3rd one. And then he got into him. He's like, no, we got to watch all of them. So I own all of those now.
I used to play the games on PlayStation, and I had to leave the lights on, man. It creeped me out.
The current state of things is my brother, he had bought the remake of Nemesis, and it gave him anxiety, so he couldn't finish the game. So once I came over to his house and I got through all the anxiety-inducing parts, and he got through the rest of the game. But my buddy, he tried to play 7. He tried to play 7 in VR and got exactly a half hour through the game and stopped.
I believe it.
He's like, nope, I'm done. I can't do it.
You're realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have to give them another try. You're about to find out something new about me, Jim. I've never watched a full Resident Evil movie.
What?
And I've never played a full Resident Evil game. And, and I'll tell you why. The first one that they came out with, I had PlayStation and I was playing it. And I got where you start out when you're in the fog and you're walking around town in the fog. And I couldn't figure out where I was supposed to go. And after about
Silent Hill.
Yeah, or that was Silent Hill then. Yeah, but that game, the Silent Hill, I couldn't figure out where I was supposed to go, and I was so freaking bored. And then for some reason, Resident Evil reminded me of Silent Hill, and I never gave him I never gave it a chance. I was just like,
the first time I played Silent Hill, it was a rental, and I got as far as the school, and I'm walking around, and everything looks the same, and later I find out that there's a door at one end of the hallway that I didn't check or whatever. But I played this game. I'm stuck in this one place. The entire 2-day rental. It's like, no.
Right.
And I never.
Yeah.
I played later.
Yeah, I say it bored me to death, and for some reason I tied those two together. So every time I think Resident Evil, I think of that. Just me walking around town in the fog for a fucking hour, and I'm just like, I ain't watching this.
The Silent Hill movies aren't bad either. I mean, the first one's really good. The second one, I mean, it follows the games too much. The second one does because it gets really corny. And the games they're scary, but they are very, very fucking corny. Sorry, pardon my language.
Oh, it's all right.
Fine, you're fine. No worries. Donnie, you should at least watch the first. If you don't watch any other Resident Evil movie, watch the first one with Mila Jovovich.
Yeah.
Watch the new one that just came out.
But good.
Welcome to Raccoon City. Is it good?
I preface this
Okay.
with it is better than every other one.
Fair enough.
However, they try to take two games and smash it into an hour and a half movie.
Right. 1 and 2, right?
Yes. Sometimes it works. Other places, not so much. However, from top to bottom, it works as a Resident Evil movie. The first movie with Mila Jovovich, that works. They actually tried to retcon that into the video games when they made Outbreak.
Right.
Because they named they did the lab under the city. They named it the Hive. You know, it's got the same aesthetics as that movie. But then every movie in that series contradicts the movie that came before it, which absolutely drives me nuts because I like continuity. That's one of the reasons I like the Resident Evil series, is because it's everything is tied back to each other at one point in time. Even the titles like 7 that you think has nothing to do with anything are very much based in the world of the game. 7 and 8 are just totally out there, but they come back into the story.
I will say that in the first one, there are some interesting deaths that have nothing to do with zombies.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
Steve knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The
See, I'm gonna have to retrain my brain now and watch both of them now and try to. Since I'm older, like I said, this was back what? How long ago was this when the first one came out?
The first game came out in 96.
96. Yeah. So,
Steve, the hallway.
Have you seen the movie Cube? Did you like Cube? Because if you liked Cube, you'll love this scene.
I'm gonna have to give them a try now. See, I got my own mission.
Yeah, you got to. Now, I'm going to ask Steve a question here. And how do you feel about the Friday the 13th franchise?
Friday. As far as slashers go, Jason is probably at the high end of my favorites. I prefer Friday to Nightmare any day of the week. Especially, hey, when you consider that it is in canon, even though it's a horrible movie. If you watch Jason Goes to Hell, he is in canon a Deadite, which brings us back to the Evil Dead.
Okay.
Mhm.
The reason I
In
asked
canon.
that, Steve, is look behind Donnie.
Right.
I see it.
Yeah.
I see it all.
I'm a big slasher guy.
He's a big Friday the 13th fan.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of the remake?
I actually enjoyed it. The tunnels underneath kind of explained everything to some extent for like the older films. And then, but yeah, I kind of, like I said, I'm waiting now that the lawsuit and stuff is settled. I'm waiting for some new stuff to start being developed.
I would have appreciated the remake a lot more had I not seen See No Evil before it.
Yeah.
Because they end up being the same movie.
Right. Pretty much.
But Donnie has actually been to Camp Crystal Lake.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, me
I
and
was
my
up,
wife went there last summer.
I was up working around Crystal Lake, Ohio, not too long ago.
Nice.
Yeah. It's like I drove by. It's like, yeah, I messaged my son. You'll never guess where I am. It's like, don't stop, Dad. Just keep going.
Right.
Donnie, we actually had Ari Lehman on our 100th episode,
Mm-hmm.
who was the original Jason from the original movie.
Mm-hmm. The boy. Yep.
The boy that popped out of the water and grabbed the girl out of the canoe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We had him on our 100th episode, and Donnie got to recreate the scene with him and Adrienne King, who played the girl.
Ah.
Yeah. Well, we went down there. It was the first time they had been together at Camp Crystal Lake since they filmed the first movie.
Right.
And then, so they took us down to the beach, and then we got to recreate the canoe scene and stuff. So it was pretty awesome. So I kind of marked out the whole weekend for that.
Hopefully it was good enough weather for them to be in the lake without them freezing.
Well, no, we did it on the beach. because the lake is kind of went down. So
Okay.
yeah, so it's yeah, so we just basically did it on the beach so they wouldn't have to get in the water. And plus it was chilly and it would rain the whole day, which made it
Yeah, so
awesome
it's more,
because yeah, Friday the 13th is a lot of it's in the rain. So that made it pretty awesome.
So
more like Camp Crystal Pond now, huh?
Right.
The water's receded. It's more like Camp Crystal Pond.
Yeah.
Why don't you ask I'm gonna let you do this. Why don't you ask Steve the question?
All right. You want me to throw it at him already?
Maybe some fun. I'm not ready for this.
No, that's the point. So we got a question that we ask all of our guests. There is no right or wrong answer. It's just we just like to see how twisted our compadres are. And that question is: you are the main serial killer in your own horror film. What is your go-to kill?
So it's not specific to weapon or anything. It's just
however you want to kill somebody.
Oh, see, I as far as slashers, I don't know about slashers. I'm leaning towards Cenobite territory here, buddy.
Well, wherever you want to take it.
Wherever you want to go, there's no right or wrong answer. Whatever you want.
The thing with slashers is it's that and done. It's quick. They move on to the next one. It's like, no, I want to hang them up and I want to play with them for a little bit.
And that's what you got to do.
Yeah. Yeah, this is your movie.
It's actually funny because a quote from Princess Bride of all things comes to mind, and it's like, to the pain. To the pain.
Okay.
Cut off your toes, cut off your nose, everything. Yeah, I might even let you live. At that point, it's just I'm thinking about that one. Just to figure the hell out of you. You end up looking like the chick at the end of Terrifier.
There you go.
You watched the Terrifier.
Yeah, I've seen it. Ooh. It's gruesome. I don't know if I want to watch the second one. I may not.
Oh, I'm dying to. I can't wait.
We had him on the show too.
Cool.
So your final answer is?
Oh, it's torture. It's slow, painful, hostile stuff. It's.
Yep.
I'm not a slasher. I'm a serial killer. That's
There you go. There's something you mentioned, like when you were talking about that, it popped into my mind, which I thought was pretty gruesome. And like I said, not much really makes me queasy, but this one kind of made me cringe just a little. I can't remember which one, if it was 4 or 5, but it's one of the wrong turns where they're out where they're in the snow out at the vacation home or whatever. And they got the guy on the table and they're like shaving the meat off his leg and frying it in a frying pan. That's what that reminded me. I thought of that when you were talking about slow, painful. It's like it just reminded me of him shaving his leg meat off, and I'm like, oh my god. It's like,
yeah.
Or his chest meat. It was his chest. They're shaving his chest meat off.
What's really creepy about that, about both your answers, about Steve's answer and what you're talking about, Donnie, is on my other podcast, Big Scary Show, shout out to them, bigscaryshow.com.
Yep.
I am doing a new segment. Well, my segment's called Between the Corpses, and I keep, I change it as I see fit. Yeah. I was doing spooky beers for a while, but starting with the new year, I'm doing the history of torture and execution.
Nice.
And they talk about, there's one execution's called the torture of 1,000 cuts, where they slowly slice pieces off of you. I don't know what they do with them, but they slice pieces off of you. And it's like, that just brought me to that. And it's like, I even bought a whole book so I could use it for reference material.
Nice.
Yeah, they just keep cutting you until you exsanguinate. You end up bleeding out.
Yes.
Yeah, it was Wrong Turn. I just had to look it up, or I would have drove me crazy. It was Wrong Turn 4, Bloody Beginnings. That's the one where they do it. And like I said, that one got me even more queasy than the famous scene in Terrifier with the girl hanging from the chains.
Oh,
Yeah, that's kind of where it's like, oh, that's gratuitous as hell.
it's one of my top favorite kills right there. Painful looking at it, going, "Ow!"
Right.
That had to be a hell of a good saw blade, though. When you think about it, I mean,
Mhm.
even if he avoids most of the spinal column, getting through those ribs ain't no easy task.
No,
Right.
no, got to be that carbide steel, you know.
Yeah.
Would have been easier with a sawzall, though. I think.
Oh, why stop there? Just get full on TCM.
Mhm.
Just barely run it, you know.
I like you. You're twisted.
The deeper and darker down the rabbit hole me and Ryan got with the gimmicks, the more comfortable we are with them. So it's just kind of,
And it's like you and Ryan both are just amazing, and I love watching you guys at FGW. Really do.
Well, we try to get out more. It's just, life getting in the way and
Sure.
not knowing the right people or the right bookers or, people. I'm looking at the center of my screen right now.
Bonnie. You should bring Roach up.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say well, definitely. I'm into the horror stuff, obviously. So I say we've been looking for more horror characters.
I've got an IMDb credit for a horror movie. Just saying.
Oh, you do.
I
Really?
do.
What's it called?
Funhouse Massacre. I was in that.
That.
Yeah, well, I would hope so. It's got Freddy Krueger in it.
And you're in that.
Yeah, we just shot it at Land of Illusion, but
Oh,
it's got Jared Burns and Howard, not Ron. Oh God, Ron Howard's little brother.
Clint.
For some reason, Clint, and it's got Robert Englund in it, and I'm in it for a grand total of 3 seconds, but the camera is right here on my face.
Yeah,
So
you're in
if
it.
I'm there. I'm there.
Hey, I'm in a horror movie too.
Oh yeah.
It's called Revelation Trail.
Ah.
It's about zombies in the Old West.
Shoot them up, bang bang.
And I'm the only zombie that survived because I did not get shot in the head.
I mean, everybody's a lot shorter. I mean, it's the olden days, and
They got me in the shoulder.
you're a big ass man. That's about where they're aiming for everybody else. That they're clearing across the board, and
Right.
you're just that much taller than everybody else. They're shooting eye level.
Right. Well, they
short.
missed, so that's awesome. So, Donnie, any last questions for Stevil?
No, I think we got to know him pretty good. Well, have you ever? I do. I actually you got any haunted house acting in, or have you worked at haunted houses? You mentioned Land of Illusions. That's your Middletown area.
I actually have never done a haunt or anything. It's typically with work. The job I have now offers me a lot more flexibility, but I typically would work weekends. So like I just got out of this past year. I've been doing independent contract freelance work for telecom, but the 10 previous years I've worked warehouse on the weekends. So I haven't had the opportunity to even go to an attraction, let alone be in one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I highly recommend it.
Would you like?
I've been told I'm a natural, so
we might have a place for you this year, huh, Donnie?
Yep, I think so.
If you want to
bring my own face.
There's nothing like the adrenaline of scaring the hell out of somebody.
Mhm.
Oh, dude, I used to love it when we would do the straight asshole heels, and you come out, you've got kids hiding behind their parents and stuff, and it's like, yeah,
Mhm.
you get scared back there, you do that.
Yeah, we got
But
another
then,
lights out weekend coming with Carnage, so I'm kind of pumped for that.
Yeah, I saw that. All of a sudden, they have dogs in here.
In your room.
Apparently, my wife is
ooh,
coming
let the dogs in.
because both my dogs are in here now,
Nice.
and there they go. So, yeah, Steve, if you want to do some haunted house acting, I think we can accommodate you this year.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
And get paid for it.
Yeah, you probably get paid more for haunting than you do wrestling. The way the indie scene is.
Yeah, but I actually get to hit the people I'm in the ring with.
Right.
Yeah, you can't hit these people, but
Nah,
you don't have to skip. You don't have to hit them to scare the shit out of them. So
no, but it's a plus.
it is. It is. And there was actually a quick story before we go. I used to work for the Dent Schoolhouse down in Cincinnati,
Okay.
and one year we had this app where people would send a picture of their friend that they wanted to be dragged into the haunt,
This is devious.
and I was the guy that did the dragging. So I had my phone on me at all times, and they'd send me a picture of this person in the queue line, and I would go out and search out this person in the queue line, and I would get one of my henchmen to grab him and drag him into the maze. Well, there was this one guy, his friends sent him in, and we went after him, and he bolted. So we chased him, and we caught him outside the queue line. And my partner, Jason, who was actually he's my late business partner. He unfortunately passed away a few years back. But anyway, he picked him up, threw him over his shoulder, dragged him into the middle of the maze, and dropped him off by himself. Then he came up to the front of the queue line where I was. And he goes, "Come here, step back behind you. I need to talk to you." He said, "That guy pissed all over my shoulder." The guy had literally peed all over me. He was covered in pee and never changed his costume. He worked the rest of the night covered in pee. And that guy we just tortured him the rest of the night
Oh,
until he got out of the maze. We wouldn't help him get out of the maze. He had to find his own way out, and we were misdirecting him, and we had a little secret door which would keep him from leaving the maze, and we kept closing. So he might have pissed on Jason, but boy, he paid for it.
yeah. Oof.
And boy,
Oof.
did it smell rank at the end of the night.
That's a badge of honor, isn't it?
It is. It is. But anyway, I digress. Steve, is there any way people can find out more about you, more about Roach, more about FGW? What's the social media thing going on?
Well, unfortunately, I am about as tech savvy as a caveman. So when it comes to me, I'm not much further out there than Facebook. So that's about where my presence stops. I mean, I have a Twitter. I've never used. Well, we've never maybe twice. I'm I'm prehistoric when it comes to computers. The whole Roach thing. I mean, you could go looking, but you're going to find mostly old stuff about the supervillain movement. So that's probably not going to help you much if you're looking for me and Ryan. FGW, we have a presence on Facebook. I know that. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know much about anything past that point because, yeah, I know how to turn a computer on, I know how to turn a computer off, and I know how to go to websites. But as far as actually inputting things and trying to maintain, I just got a smartphone this past year. So,
With that being said, I will say You can find out more about Stevil, about Roach, and about FGW at facebook.com/Future Great Wrestling. You can also find out about tickets for shows every Friday night at 190 Brookwood Avenue in Hamilton, Ohio. Show bell time is usually 7 p.m. And you know what? You can't miss out, because if you go, you're going to see the FGW Tag Team Champions Roach, consisting of Stevil and Ryan Wild. Stevil, thank you so much for coming on to Wrestle Horror and talking with us. It's been an absolute honor. And finally, after a year, we finally got you on here.
Right. It's my pleasure. I enjoyed it. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the plug there, because I was completely lost for a second.
I got you covered, brother. I got you covered. So with that being said, I am Meat Hook Jim, along with my co-host Donnie Hoover, our special guest Stevil from Roach. We are the Wrestle Horror Podcast, and we will catch you on the next episode.
See you guys.